I think Fiat really bought the Dodge brand for the truck division, mainly Jeep and Dodge trucks. Welcome back, part 2 of Fiat trying to kill Chrysler. I don't want to bore you with all the details, make a long ass video on the first one. I figured I'd just shoot out some information that I was feeling off the top of my head and then come back to it later on. Mr. Macaroni had his stockholders meeting, just to recap about all the rumors, and then saying that they saved Chrysler, just as, as a recap. And you can go look at my first video about that. What I wanted to get into is the writing on the wall. You take away all of the stuff from Chrysler, you leave them with 2 cars, and you say that we're going to save them and all that kind of stuff. I think that's hogwash. That's dead man's walking. I predict within the next year or so, maybe 2 at max, Chrysler will be dead. The Pacifica, that's a top seller, will probably be absorbed into the Dodge family or truck family, or Dodge Chrysler is no longer Dodge Chrysler. Let's face it, it's owned by FCA, which is an Italian company. It went from the Mercedes, and then that was a bad deal. They had a love-hate relationship with each other. And I think Fiat really bought the Dodge brand for the truck division, mainly Jeep and Dodge trucks, hands down. I think the car segment for that was just an added whatever it was, and then they figured they'd turn these LS platforms into a marketing tool, possibly. They're saying, after you read some of the articles, you start getting into some of the technical stuff, that that these Dodge cars aren't profitable, and I don't see that. I think just because I just don't see it, but that's what they're saying. Who am I to argue with those numbers? But definitely, since now they took away the 200 for the Chrysler, obviously, and some of the smaller cars, and since Ford has pulled out of the sedan market, they are probably trying to reshuffle their stuff and just go into the to the SUV market. But everyone keeps on saying that the sedan market is dead, and I don't see it. I don't get that, because you see other manufacturers making sedans, no problem. And I know I keep on harping on the same companies and going back to the same topics, but I'm trying to get a point across here. And you see, if the sedan market was such a bad place to be, then why are these big companies still there? Mercedes, BMW, Audi, Toyota, Honda, Kia, all those guys have girls, whatever, have sedans, and they sell like they're all over the place here. It's not just truck country or SUV country. And what I think the main problem was with the American car companies and the sedan market and the small car market is that they, for so many years, they pumped out shit. Excuse me. They pumped out shit cars from the late 80s to the early 90s and 2000s, and for some reason that the big three couldn't make a good small car to compete with the Japanese and the Korean companies. Now, you get into high-end luxury stuff, the BMWs and all that stuff, they always seem to have a pretty steady market of the small 3 Series cars, the 5 Series cars, the 7 Series cars. They never had any problems selling their cars, and that's at a premium price too. So what I think is that a lot of times when people have a hard time selling these sedans like Ford, Chevy, and since there's a financial crisis in what 2009, between 2005 and 9, 10, that whole group, and they were all kind of like clamoring. Even when people were in the market of buying cars, they wouldn't buy the American cars because they have such bad experiences with them before. And I don't blame them. I was one of those people. I mean, look at all the crap. And now GM is catching up to the market now. Their sedans are pretty decent. Ford, I don't know where the fuck they came with, but the Taurus and the other freaking sedan that they had just doesn't match up. It doesn't like. What are they thinking? When you look at the European market on Ford, and I'll give you an example like the Australian market. Ford had like the Falcon and a turbocharged inline six, and they had the Coyote supercharged sedans, like similar to the Chargers and the Hellcats in Australia already. And you figured they'd bring some of that stuff over here, and then the same thing with the Chevys. That you figured they'd bring over some of their sedans or some of that architect over here, like the SS and all the other stuff. But then when you read deeper into like the Chevy stuff, the SS, which is the Commodore whatever Holden platform, or the PPV car, as some call it, the Caprice. They had, if you look deeper, they only had they were in contract with Holden to produce only so many cars over here in America, and after that was just like an agreement. So Chevy really didn't give a damn about the product, and that's why you never see it advertised, you never see it go anywhere, because they didn't give a damn. They were interested in their own little market brand and stuff, and quite frankly, they were expensive. Same thing with the Fords, they were expensive. You can go to Kia and Honda and all the other places and buy a nice sedan fully loaded for probably $5,000 less. So who the hell would want to buy the Ford and the Chevy products? Obviously. Dodge, on the other hand, the same thing. They had, like in the early, before the Challenger and Chargers came out, what did they have before then? They had like a mixture of weird Mitsubishi collaborations and sedans that were just the older 200 sedans and all the other crap that they had. And I've had a couple of those cars too, and they were, even though that it was like a Mitsubishi type of car, but the interior sucked, and it was a crappy car. So I think that's what the Americans are playing catch up on. It's just like they can never build a small sedan or like a mid-size sedan car for the masses and be right on target with it. It always was off a little bit, which is bizarre to me in a multi-billion-dollar company that they can't get somebody to make a nice car. You know what I mean? And they can seem to figure out how to make trucks, but they can't make a small, mid-sized car. Whatever. So the sedan market is not dead. But the Mr. Macaroni from Italy, he comes back and he says, well, we can retool the LS platform and update it. It still has some life in it that we can update it to where it's still competitive in the market. I don't see it coming. I don't see it. I don't see how they're going to do that. They really need to rip out about 300 pounds out of this car to really be on that level of the sedan market of where everybody else is at. So I truly think this is going to be the end. I think Fiat had no inclination to keep in Dodge. It was kind of like a novelty item. They originally bought the company because they were interested more in the Jeep and the Dodge trucks segment. They're going to keep that because you can see that they're pumping in money into that section. And from my other video, they're just going to maybe refresh the Dodge Charger, Challengers, those mid-size sedans, because this is, I guess, a sedan car, really. The Challenger Charger is really a sedan. It's not really a sports car per se. And they'll throw a couple of pieces and parts out of it and hope that they sell a little bit. And then once that becomes inevitable, I think they're going to crush this whole segment of cars. And then all you're going to see from FCA is the trucks, and then their Alfa Romeos and the Maseratis, and make it I think the end goal for Fiat, for FCA, is to make the Jeep and the trucks a global brand. That's what I think it is, and I don't think that these Challenger Chargers fit in their program of globalness. And I think that that's why you're going to see the demise of this. I hope I am wrong on this. I hope that some engineers and some people in Dodge, on the American side saying, go fuck yourselves, let's do this. And I think that Dodge has a golden opportunity here, since Ford and these other companies are, the big three are, Chrysler and, Ford and Chevy are kind of wanting to pull out of that market. All you're going to have is a void there, because you're going to have the Koreans and the Japanese and everything just coming and swooping in and taking the rest of that market. They're already pumping out nice cars, nice sporty cars. I mean, look at the Stinger and look at some of the other cars that have been in the market for a while now that are really taking a good market share. And I think that's the way to go. But Chrysler has a golden opportunity here, because they have an opportunity here to retake their market share. And FCA has the resources to do that, which would be a great thing, because the whole point of the Dodge, these platforms and the trucks, is that they were affordable. You compare that with an F-150, a Chevy Silverado, or a GMC truck to a Dodge Ram truck, and they are substantially lower in price and a good value. And also, by the way, Ford says they're the top seller of F-150s. Bullshit, because actually GM is a top seller. But when you combine the two markets of the Chevy and the GMC, they outsell Ford. But who has the towing capacity is Dodge and their diesel trucks. If you want to do heavy towing with their dualies and their trucks and all that kind of stuff, all the big companies use Dodge trucks. You know what I mean? So that's bizarre to me. They have the better setup. Who wants to buy a Ford, an overpriced Ford diesel truck that can't haul 30,000 pounds? And I'm talking on the commercial side. Or can't haul what they want to haul, and then also the maintenance costs on top of that, because a lot of the Ford guys know once those trucks get older, when you got to pull a cab off the truck to do maintenance on their diesel trucks, who the fuck wants to do that? They're just going to get rid of it. But maybe that's what Ford wants. They want you to recycle the shit, and buy more stuff, or not be able to service your own truck, which is ridiculous for a commercial person or for a person who uses that truck as a truck the way it was designed to do it, not as a everyday car. I mean, we seem to go off the topic of trucks. Trucks were trucks, pickup trucks were pickup trucks, and now they're like more luxury vehicles than anything else. But whatever. So getting back to Dodge, we all know there's a good product here that can be redone and really take hold over that sedan market. And then Chrysler, God bless it, because it's going to be gone. The 300 is outdated, as I spoke before. They're not going to really update it. What are they going to do with that, really? Person buying a high-end luxury car is not going to come to Chrysler anymore to buy that. And then since they are on the teetering edge, who's going to want to come into a dealership and buy a Chrysler not knowing that they're going to be there next year? Think about that. And like I said, you can service a car at Dodge or other places, but who wants to buy a car that's not going to be there in the next generation? And I think that's what Fiat's counting on. That they want to. I think that whole ploy of all the leaks and everything out before the stockholders meeting was to test the waters to see how people were going to react or what was going to go on in the market. And I think that was a pretty cool, pretty sneaky way of doing things, because then they come back and they say, Christ, come on, you think they'd be, a month before they go into stockholders meeting, they're not going to know that they're going to 86 Chrysler or not? I mean, really, business doesn't work that way. They think that the public is stupid or something. All right, that's my conclusion, man. That's the way I see it. I think Chrysler's just going to go under, Dodge is going to go under, and they're going to keep the Jeep and the truck line going. I think Dodge will stay a little bit longer, just until these cars kind of wear out and they can't make any more money off them, or they become less pop. Who knows? I think what they're going to try to do is they're going to try to revamp this car a little bit, see how it sells, and if it doesn't sell, then Have a nice day. But I don't think they're going to invest a ton of money into these cars. I don't see it. It just doesn't show that they are when they're already pumping all that money into the Ram and the Jeep section. What do you guys think? Comment. Am I crazy? Is this, I don't know. This is a sad, this is a bitter pill, I think. But have a nice day. Take care.